Chapter 1. The Apocrypha or Extra-Canonical Books. In our exploration of biblical stories from the book of Genesis, we've sought to deepen our understanding by delving into the Apocrypha. These extra-canonical books, such as the book of Jasher, offer additional details and secrets that enrich our comprehension of the Bible. The non-canonical books are a fascinating place to start. For instance, the Ethiopian Bible includes extra books like the Book of Jubilees and the Book of Enoch. There's also the Book of Adam and Eve, which details their battle against Satan. Reading these stories provides a broader perspective on biblical narratives. While we've focused primarily on the Genesis account, another intriguing read is the Book of Maccabees. This book covers the 400-year period of relative quiet as the Bible transitions from the Old Testament to the New Testament. You might wonder how the Ethiopians came to possess their unique Bible with these additional books. To understand this, we must revisit the story of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. This love story not only led to the Queen's conversion to Judaism, but also to Ethiopia's adoption of Israelite culture. The testimony of Ethiopia is indeed fascinating. They began to follow Israel and emulate their practices. Although Solomon had 1,000 wives, his affection for the Queen of Sheba stands out. The Queen was captivated by Solomon's wisdom, his way of life, and his God, the God of Israel. Together they had a son named Menelik, who bore a striking resemblance to Solomon. The Kebra Nagast, also known as the Glory of the Kings, provides further details on this story. Chapter 2. Ethiopian or Cushite Women. Before we delve deeper into the relationship between the Queen of Sheba and King Solomon, it's essential to understand the historical context of Ethiopian women. To do this, we need to revisit the story of Moses. Did Moses have 2 wives? If not, why is Zipporah, the daughter of Jethro, a Midianite priest, referred to as an Ethiopian in the book of Numbers? Let's piece the story together. After Moses killed an Egyptian, he fled from Egypt to escape Pharaoh's wrath. According to Exodus 25, "And it came to pass in those days, when Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brethren, and looked on their burdens. And he spied an Egyptian smiting an Hebrew, one of his brethren. And he looked this way and that way. And when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian, and hid him in the sand. And when he went out the second day, behold, 2 men of the Hebrews strove together. And he said to him that did the wrong, Wherefore smitest thou thy fellow? And he said, Who made thee a prince and a judge over us? Intendest thou to kill me, as thou killedst the Egyptian? And Moses feared, and said, Surely this thing is known. Now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moses. But Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh, and dwelt in the land of Midian, and he sat down by a well. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water, and filled the troughs to water their father's flock. And the shepherds came and drove them away. But Moses stood up and helped them, and watered their flock. And when they came to roil their father, he said, How is it that ye are come so soon today? And they said, An Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds, and also drew water enough for us, and watered the flock. And he said unto his daughters, And where is he? Why is it that ye have left the man? Call him, that he may eat bread. And Moses was content to dwell with the man, and he gave Moses Zipporah his daughter. And she bare him a son, and he called his name Gershom, for he said, I have been a stranger in a strange land. And it came to pass in process of time that the king of Egypt died, and the children of Israel sighed by reason of the bondage, and they cried, and their cry came up unto God by reason of the bondage. And God heard their groaning, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. And God looked upon the children of Israel, and God had respect unto them. Moses fled to the land of Midian, which some sources, like the book of Jasher, suggest is in Sudan, the land of the Medians. Although the book of Jasher has some inaccuracies regarding Moses' activities during his exile, it seems accurate about the location being Sudan. For now, let's stick to the biblical account where Moses tended the flock of his father-in-law Jethro in Midian. When God called Moses to lead the exodus out of Egypt, he left Midian and returned to Egypt. In Exodus 4, Zipporah, Moses' wife, expressed her discomfort with the circumcision of their son, a practice unfamiliar to her as a Gentile. Later in Exodus 18, we learn that Moses had sent Zipporah back to her father. Jethro reunited with Moses after the Exodus, bringing Zipporah and their children. Jethro congratulated Moses on his success and offered valuable leadership advice before returning to Midian. In Numbers 12, Miriam and Aaron criticized Moses for marrying an Ethiopian woman. This reference has led to much debate about whether Moses had another wife or if Zipporah was indeed considered Ethiopian. Numbers 10 refers to Jethro as Hobab, and Numbers 9 marks the beginning of the Passover celebration. These chapters provide a continuous narrative, suggesting that the stories in Numbers and Exodus are interconnected. We know Numbers and Exodus are talking about the same story, just like the Gospels have 4 accounts of the same story. So we know Hobab in the book of Numbers and Reuel and Jethro in the book of Exodus are the same person. Chapter 3. The Land of Midian. Sudan is a vast country covering nearly 2 million square kilometers. It's plausible that it could encompass both the land of Nubia and the land of Midian. Returning to the story of Moses, we know that the Gentiles or mixed multitude in the camp of Israel caused various issues. Additionally, there was a period when Zipporah, Moses' wife, was absent from the Exodus group and was later reintroduced. This context helps us understand Miriam's reaction to Zipporah, although discrediting Moses went too far and nearly incited a rebellion for which Miriam was punished. If Zipporah, a Midianite, is also called an Ethiopian in the book of Numbers, the best explanation is that there were people from the line of Shem living in the land of Cush. It's similar to calling a Jewish American simply an American or an African American an American. Referring to the Queen of Sheba or Zipporah as Cushites is accurate because they were from the land of Cush. However, we also know that descendants of Shem lived in Cush. This is why, upon examining the lineage of the Queen of Sheba and Zipporah, we find that they were women from the line of Shem living in the land of Cush. The land of Cush was a multi-ethnic region. Midian, where the Midianites originated, was a son of Abraham from his third wife, Keturah. Initially, the Midianites had friendly relations with Israel through Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, who even served as an advisor to Moses. However, conflicts arose later. The Ishmaelites and Midianites were also present in Egypt. They were the ones who traded Joseph to Egypt after his brothers sold him. Arabs claimed descent from Abraham through Ishmael and his other sons with Keturah, such as Midian. In modern-day Sudan, many people identify as Arabs. In African history, there is even a group called Semites, which includes tribes in Sudan and Ethiopia. The term Semites indicates their claim to descent from the line of Shem. We know that Numbers and Exodus recount the same story. Much like the Gospels provide 4 accounts of the same events. Therefore, Hobab in the book of Numbers and Reuel and Jethro in the book of Exodus are the same person. Chapter 4, Habakkuk, the prophet. This brings us to the book of Habakkuk, chapter 3, verse 7, which states, "I saw the tents of Cushan in affliction, and the curtains of the land of Midian did tremble." This verse implies a connection between these regions. When Habakkuk refers to Cushan, he is speaking of the land of Cush. In my earlier YouTube videos, I discussed the port of Sudan as a plausible exit route. My Greater Israel hypothesis is informed by Professor Sam Calaby's works, particularly his book The Bible Came from Arabia. He suggests that the southwestern Arabian region could be the Promised Land. This area is the most fertile region in the Arabian Peninsula and is known for producing Arabica coffee. The land of Midian, being in Sudan, helps explain the MENA, Middle East and North Africa region, where Arabs reside. The seed of Abraham spread across the Sahel belt, which extends from Sudan to Mauritania and connects with North Africa. We know that the Middle East and North Africa were connected in antiquity. Limiting this connection to the Mediterranean Sea or the Sinai Peninsula overlooks the fact that Sudan was also a gateway to Africa. Even Egypt was a multi-ethnic region. There is a strong claim that the Hyksos, who were the shepherd kings of Egypt, were Edomites. Ishmael and his stepbrothers from Abraham's third wife, Keturah, occupied the entire MENA region, not just the Arabian Peninsula.